Most guys think they'd know immediately if a woman was talking about them behind their back. But the truth is, the signs are rarely loud. They're subtle, almost invisible, and sometimes they don't mean what you think they mean. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you might realize she's been talking about you this whole time, and you completely missed it. You've probably been in a situation like this. You walk into a room, and suddenly the energy shifts. Not dramatically, not in a movie scene way, just slightly off. Conversations pause for half a second too long. Someone glances at someone else. Then everything resumes like nothing happened. But here's the part most guys ignore. That tiny pause, that's information. One of the clearest signs she's talking about you behind your back is when her friends already know things you never told them. Think about that for a second. You meet her group, and somehow they're smiling at you like they've heard stories. Not bad ones necessarily, just stories. And the weird part? They react to you like you're familiar, like you've already been introduced, without ever being there. That doesn't happen by accident. But here's where it gets interesting. The tone matters more than the fact, because if she's talking about you negatively, her friends will observe you, quietly, almost like they're verifying something. But if she's talking about you positively, they'll engage you, tease you, include you faster than expected. Did you notice that difference? Most guys don't. Another sign, and this one's subtle, is when she asks you questions she already knows the answer to. Sounds harmless, right? But think deeper. Why would someone ask something they already discussed about you? It's not curiosity, it's confirmation. She's aligning the version of you in her conversations with the version of you in reality. And when those two match, something shifts in her mind. That's when interest quietly deepens. If she suddenly becomes more private with her phone around you, not less, that's not always a bad sign. Everyone assumes secrecy equals negativity, but sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes she's protecting a narrative. Maybe she's been talking about you in a way she doesn't want you to see yet. Not because it's bad, but because it's too revealing. That kind of hidden behavior? It's often tied to emotional investment. But don't jump to conclusions just yet, because there's a flip side. If her behavior changes depending on who's around, that's another signal. Pay attention to this. When it's just you and her, she's relaxed, open, maybe even playful. But the moment certain people enter the space, she becomes slightly different. More guarded, more neutral. That contrast, it usually means you've been a topic of discussion in those circles. And now there's awareness. Not necessarily judgment. Just awareness. Let me ask you something. Have you ever caught her friends looking at you when she's not paying attention? Not in an obvious way, but quick glances, like they're trying to figure something out. That's not random. That's curiosity built from prior conversation. You're not just a stranger to them. You're a story they've heard, and now they're seeing the main character in real life. Here's where it gets even more layered. If she jokes about you in a very specific way, almost like an inside joke you don't remember creating, that's a huge tell. Because those jokes didn't come from nowhere. They were formed somewhere else, in conversations you weren't part of. And the way she delivers them? That reveals everything. If there's warmth behind it, if there's a slight smile she tries to hide, that's not mockery. That's familiarity mixed with attraction. But there's one sign most guys completely overlook, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's when she corrects people about you. Think about that. If someone says something slightly off about you, and she steps in, casually, almost instinctively, to fix it. That's not neutral behavior. That means she cares about how you're perceived. And people don't defend or clarify things they feel indifferent about. That kind of reaction only comes from someone who's already invested enough to talk about you when you're not there. Now pause for a second, because this is where most people get it wrong. Not all behind-the-back talk is negative. In fact, a lot of it is curiosity, processing, even admiration. Humans naturally discuss things they're emotionally engaged with, so if she's talking about you, it usually means you've made an impression. The real question isn't, is she talking about me? It's what emotional direction is that conversation going in? And you can feel that direction if you pay attention to the small things. Her tone, her eye contact, the way her friends interact with you. The subtle shifts in energy when your name comes up. These are hidden signals most guys miss because they're looking for obvious answers. But here's the part that changes everything. If she's talking about you behind your back in a positive or curious way, you don't need to force anything. You don't need to chase. The groundwork is already being built, without you even being there. All you have to do is show up consistently, as the same person she's been describing. That alignment, that's what creates attraction that feels natural instead of forced. And if it's negative, then it's feedback, not rejection. Feedback, something to learn from, adjust, or walk away from with awareness. Either way, you win, if you're paying attention. So next time you feel that slight shift in a room, that half-second pause, don't ignore it. That's information most people are blind to. Once you notice these patterns in real life, you'll never see human behavior the same way again.